My name is Tracy Enos, and I have been working exclusively with small and medium-sized businesses, entrepreneurs, other coaches, and some authors on how to use LinkedIn effectively to generate leads, brand themselves, and increase their annual ROI. And the reason I became an entrepreneur is because I was laid off twice in 4 years with corporate America. So when I got laid off in November, I went home for Christmas. My sister was ailing. She had brain cancer. She passed away that following May. But I went home and she became an entrepreneur herself. And I sat down with her, and she was coherent. And I said, "What do I do?" And she says, "You need to start your own agency." And that's what I did the following February. And I haven't looked back since. Fast forward to 2015. In July of 2015, I sustained third-degree burns, and I landed in the hospital for a 6-day stint in the burn unit. And while I was in the hospital, day 3 of the hospital, I got a phone call. I don't recommend anybody do this when you're all doped up on morphine and oxycodone, is answer the phone. But I did anyway, and I made $3,000. I got a $3,000 contract sitting in the hospital. And so that kind of floated me for a few months while I had some other consulting clients. Had it not been for the foundation of LinkedIn and knowing what I know in LinkedIn, I would not have sustained, my head above water, my business above water. Probably would have gone bankrupt and got, evicted or whatnot. So LinkedIn has been a staple in my business, and I love it. And I love teaching other people how to do the same. You don't have to work at LinkedIn 8 hours a day in order to generate income and generate new leads. Just, depending on how aggressive you want to be, 30 minutes to an hour a day is really all that you need, so that you're doing what you need to do in your own business, is work in your business, not work on your business. And once you have a system in place and you've got that system rocking and rolling, and it's kind of on semi-autopilot at that point. And then you can go out and start taking, strategy sessions, consultations, if you want to call them that, put them through a sales pipeline, whatnot, and even hand it over to an assistant to do it for you so that you're the one out there making the sales. LinkedIn is probably the largest professional platform, of all the social media platforms there is. So for most B2B industries, you're going to find your client there. You're going to get past the gatekeeper. You're going to start a relationship and a conversation. It's a warm sell, because when you do any activities on LinkedIn, your profile travels with you. So 99% of what you do in LinkedIn is through your personal profile. So what people are going to see first is your profile photo right here. They're going to see your name, and they're going to see your headline. And whether you're liking, you're commenting, you're writing long form posts, or what we call publisher articles, you're sharing content, getting involved in discussions in groups, or even sending out personal messages, they're going to go to your profile. And this is where the foundation starts. This is a way to position yourself as the expert and the authority in what you do. And so we reverse engineer a profile in a way that you're going to edify yourself somewhat, but you're also going to be able to pre-qualify a prospect that comes to your profile by sharing a little bit about what you do, how you do it, what you do for them, because it's not always about you. It's what's in it for them, right? And like a benefit, feature, outcome, type of profile. And it's got to be rich with keywords, because if you have this is a little search engine optimization, LinkedIn search engine optimization, is keywords are very valuable in a profile, because people will go use the search engine to find people such as yourself that provide the products and services that you have. First of all, you have to remember your profile is your personal profile. Take a photo with like a head and shoulders with a neutral background in attire that you would more likely, if you were going to go do a face-to-face meeting, wear that attire. So let's say, for example, you're a realtor, and you're one of those kind of casual realtors that meets people, rurally in a t-shirt and jeans. Then wear a t-shirt and jeans, because that's what they're going to expect when they see you personally. But if you're a realtor, let's say in Los Angeles, and you deal with high-end luxury real estate, and you typically wear a suit or some business attire, that's the kind of attire that you want to wear in your business photo, because now people can expect that. That's just branding. The background photo is prime real estate. When people land on your profile and you don't have a background photo, it's not a bad thing not to have it, but you could further brand yourself like more like your website. Let's say that you have a sales team and you want everybody to have some sort of conformity a little bit, then require everybody to have that same background photo. But if you're more of an entrepreneur coach or have a small agency, then have something in the background that really positions your company, you and your business. I like to put call to actions in there. They're not clickable links, but if somebody sees it, they're going to see it from any device that you're on, your background photo, whether you're on a mobile device, a tablet, or even laptop or desktop. Those are the first two pieces. And then, of course, your headline. You get 120 characters to play with it. This travels with you everywhere. So you want to put some sort of benefit type statement as your headline. If you could identify who your ideal prospect is in there, identify what maybe their outcome can be. The summary is where it's at. You get 2,000 characters right there. And this is where you're going to bring the human side to you. And you don't want to be, all about me. Yes, share, a few sentences or a paragraph or two about who you are, how you got into this business, but you should further go into the profile stating that who it is that you want to work with, because this is the pre-qualify process. And then share a little bit about what you do for them, and then what the benefits are with working with you, and what is their outcome going to be, after they've worked with you. Okay. And of course, you have to have a call to action in there. So now you can only see the first two lines of the summary. So what you want to do is already add your call to action in there, so that if somebody's already sold on what you do based off your activities on LinkedIn, don't make a hunt for it. I call this drive-through marketing. I mean, when we go through McDonald's or Burger King, whatever, we don't want to sit and wait for an hour for our food, right? We want it in 5 minutes or less. Okay, it's the same concept. Give it to them right away. Show them a way that they can connect with you. It could be like, for mine is, schedule your breakthrough business and sales breakthrough strategy session, and then my link or a phone number to how they can reach you. Everybody knows they can always reach you through your inbox, but sometimes you have to tell people what to do. I know it sounds elementary, but to be honest with you, tell people, okay, this is what you need to do next. And then people will do it. It's just a psychology type thing. But it actually works. If you have any characters left, then I would advise you also to put your call to action at the very end too, because that means they're serious. There's other important sections. One being your experience section or your current position. And again, most folks will turn around and put, I'm the CEO, founder, sales director, managing director, whatever your title is. I reverse engineer that and put in my keywords and another benefit statement. And then I use the experience section as more like a sales letter, like a mini sales letter. Again, you only get 2,000 characters. And if you're really wanting to brand, a lot of times, if their website's really good, just go take the information off your website and then get creative and format it in a way so it looks really good. And don't forget the call to action. You call to action. So, LinkedIn likes to put in, here's a little tip. It says where you located or whatnot, and you can put in, where your office is or whatever, but I go one step further and I'll add my website address in there, because you can add your website address also in your contact info, but a lot of folks won't go there to go check that out. And also, if you have room for a testimonial, people like testimonials. They love testimonials. So add a testimonial that's not on your website or even on your recommendations if possible, or use one if you want. But by all means, if you've got video testimonials, LinkedIn allows you in your summary and in your experience sections to add media. The one I like the most is the project section, which is now all bundled with honors and awards and publications and everything like that in the accomplishments section. Showcase some of the projects that you've done, whether if you're like a coach or an author, if you've been on some like really big podcasts or anything, that's great. People want to see that. Add the link to the podcast because you can add a URL to there. And it actually is hyperlinked. So you just hover over the headline. And I use the headline in a way that I use my keywords or a statement. And then I like to put the title of the company, if as long as you don't have a non-disclosure agreement. I put the title of the company that I worked with in there, and you can add them as team members too. So if you're connected with them on LinkedIn, you can say I worked on this project with this such and such person as well, which gives them a little SEO juice as well. Typically, you want to start connecting with who your ideal prospect would be. And you want to identify that first, actually, even before you start creating your profile. You want to dive deep because it's more than just what the search fields are for LinkedIn. It goes far beyond that, because when you start doing other activities or even curating content from other sources that's not yours or writing articles, this is information that's going to be beneficial to your network and to your ideal audience. You have to zone in on who they are, what their pain points are, what the solutions might be, something that might help them propel them in their business and even in their personal lives. So you want to start doing a connection campaign with those that are your ideal prospect based on what the search, that you can do in Sales Navigator or even in the original or the main user interface. If you're looking, to work with sales managers in marketing and advertising industry, and you want to work with them, and they have to work with a company that's 11 to 50 or 50 to 200 employees, then that's where you can get started and further refine your search, and then start sending those folks a custom invitation. Believe it or not, people just send out blind invitations, and if you customize it, and especially if that person's in your top 100 prospect list and you don't send a custom invitation, you've just lost your chance for that first impression, because you don't know whether they'll connect with you or not. But what I also tell folks too is 92% of all CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are on LinkedIn, but that doesn't mean they're active on LinkedIn. So I recommend that folks go start connecting with people in the same organization that directly report to the CEO. So if you kind of know who that might be, because they may be your biggest cheerleader and they're the person that gets you past the gatekeeper and your foot in the door to the decision maker. So that's how you start building your network. More often than not, I'll connect with people that aren't my ideal audience, but if I go look at their network and see who they're connected to, their second connections, those people might be good connections for me as well. And I wouldn't have any access to those people had I not connected with them in the first place. All right. And then more often than not too, I get referrals from these folks just because of my activity on LinkedIn. I've gotten speaking engagements. I've gotten consulting appointments. I've even gotten clients out of it. And I didn't even have to do any of the selling. And I don't know these people at all, just because they see what I'm doing in LinkedIn and they're my big cheerleaders. People will start, they'll get frustrated, then they'll quit. You can't do that. Just got to be consistent and work at it every single day. You're not going to hit a home run every single time, but when you do, those home runs are key, and it's going to teach you something more about who your audience is, what it is that they want from you, what kind of content, what kind of activities, and then you're just going to go find and connect with more folks similar to them. Your goal should be to get them off of LinkedIn and into your own email marketing campaign, whether you use Google or Gmail, or you use an autoresponder like Aweber, Constant Contact, MailChimp. More often than not, your inbox is going to get read, because LinkedIn, the app, will let you know when somebody's either connected with you or whatnot. So now you can go in and start messaging them either way you want to, and then keep up to date with them. You want to go in and start engaging with other people's content. So your first connections are the content you're going to see is their information, okay? Also, you're going to see ads in there like we called sponsored posts, which are similar to Facebook's. But you can go in there, and if you like something that they shared, comment on it. That's a front of mind strategy, and that puts you on their radar. So if they're your ideal prospect that's not responding to your messaging, or you just want to stay top of mind with them, that's a way to do that. And it takes, just do it sporadically. It doesn't take any time at all. Like when you're sitting at the doctor's office waiting, or you're standing in line somewhere, okay? But you want to also share content that's your content, your company's content, as well as other people's content that is relevant to your audience. I go out and I find content that other people have written, not necessarily my competitors, but what other people have written, and even what LinkedIn has written. And I will go share that content with them. And that sparks engagement, which puts me back on their radar, which also puts me back, and they're going to go check out my profile. And on occasion, I'll get the message that goes, hey, this is really good stuff. Do you mind setting up, a consultation, or can we go grab coffee sometime? You can go in there and see who's commented or liked the content. And then you can go send them a message straight from the homepage, which is really cool. Or if that got shared and you see other comments and stuff, and if you go find out they're a second level connection or third level connection, go send them a connection request. Long form post is a little bit more challenging. When LinkedIn shared today that they hit the 500 million mark, they also shared that there's 100,000 posts per week going up. So that tells me it's pretty popular, right? So publishing is huge. One of my colleagues, he got laid off from a corporate position after 30 years. And I said, you know what, you ought to try this publishing platform, because he wanted to do an executive coaching business, exactly the same thing that he was doing with this other firm. And he has written every single week on Tuesday like clockwork since June of 2014. And he's in his 60s. He's retired. He's got a pension plan, so he doesn't want to take it to the next level. But he's generating anywhere between $10,000 and $13,000 a month by only using LinkedIn's long-form publishing, a Gmail, and that's it. He doesn't have a website. He doesn't have a smartphone. It's powerful, and he only has 1,700 connections. You don't need 30,000 connections to make a lot of money using LinkedIn, really. Long-form publishing, I mean, you don't have to write your own articles. I write my own articles, but there are some services, or you can hire a ghostwriter or whatever. If they know your brand, you got to stick to your brand, right? And it's not always about you. It's about, articles should be about how-tos, listicles, like, 5 steps to this or whatnot. And they should define what a pain point is and what a solution is. And then, of course, we're back to the call to action. But you got to have a call to action in there. You got to ask people to like it, comment it, share it. And then, of course, you want a bio about the author, and a call to action in there and how they can get in touch with you for some sort of value add offer. It's get my book, sign up for a strategy session, or whatever it is that you do in your business. Google and LinkedIn they're cool friends right now. And so if you do this right and you do your headline right, that is keyword rich, your article within 24 hours or less will land on the first page of Google for its key search term. I mean, it's amazing. I still have 2 articles that are. One of my articles, even over, I was higher than Richard Branson for the same key terms. So pretty cool. It's really cool what it can do for you. I'm just starting to see a decline in group activity. People are still posting stuff. There's just not an engagement, going on in there. But why I still go in and join groups where my audience is hanging out is because in Sales Navigator, now I have another search feature that you don't have in the regular user interface, that I can go in and search by the group and then the rest of my search terms that I want to refine my search for. That's why I still like groups. I would say you're going to get more activity on your company page than anything else. I'm not trying to dissuade you from joining groups, because I really think there's still some value in it. Your personal profile is where 99% of it's at, okay? Whether you're, a solo entrepreneur of a small boutique firm, or you're, part of a larger sales team, it still goes with the profile. But company pages, now if you follow a company page, you can see, all their activity, and it'll land in your newsfeed. So anything that they post, and you can actually go in and, like just the regular news feed, anybody that engages in there, they like it or comment on it, because whether they followed the page or not. Plus there's some insights or analytics as well, so that you can kind of gauge, what type of people are following you, what their industry is, what their position title is and whatnot. You can't do that with your personal profile. So, and you can really, gain a lot of business using company pages. But for right now, the only way that you can throw up sponsored posts and text ads is through a company page. The core issue is the foundation. And if you don't have the foundation, any effort that you're putting into LinkedIn you're not going to net the results that you want. So if you're going out and doing a direct outreach campaign and your profile sucks, you've just wasted, you might get some low-hanging fruit in there, but you're really wasting valuable time doing that. Honestly, you got to build that foundation first. And the foundation is taking the time to identify who your prospect is and then building that profile so it not showcases you as the expert in your industry, but also that you're pre-qualifying that prospect throughout the profile. And that's, I think, where most people get stuck, is the foundation. All the rest of it is just like any other marketing that you do. You got to set it up, you've got to test it, you got to tweak it, track it, make it better. You may hit a home run, like I said earlier, on occasion, but more often than not, you just got to test your messaging. And that takes time. And that's not something you do overnight or in 30 days. It's a constant, any marketing that you do, whether it's Facebook ads, direct outreach and a campaign, messaging campaign in LinkedIn, Twitter. It's all about engagement. But at the end of the day, it's about getting leads in the door. But the foundation comes first. You got to lay that foundation. So like I said, I wouldn't have made any money sitting at the hospital for 6 days. I didn't know what I was going to do. It was a very traumatic experience. And had I not built and laid that foundation prior, that's what kept me afloat, was the foundation.